What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Elevated Spirits. It's Jazi. Not your reader today. Today's video is about, this is your mindset moon day message. Okay, so this is something new I'm doing with the channel to help get your week started on the right foot, given that most people start their weeks on Monday. This is designed for that, to help jumpstart your week the right way. All right, so today's message is one of which I have been getting a lot in the readings that I have been doing lately. So if you're into those type of things, please feel free to check those videos out as well. But this the message that's been coming up quite a bit in those readings was, like I said, what today's topic video is about, which is it being harder to hold on than it is to let go, right? And like I said, this came up because it's been coming up a lot in the readings, and for whatever reason, it was just like I noticed a pattern where I felt this strong desire and this strong urge, like this nudge to like it came up, like it was just the way the reading was going. It was like the perfect opportunity to tie that in, and it was just like, geez, like this has happened now maybe like 7 times already. So I was like, that's definitely gonna be the message for Monday, right? So so basically what today's video is about is, why is it harder to hold on than it is to let go? Okay, and so basically when we go through different challenges in life, right, whether it's relationships, whether it's jobs, things we wanted, things that we put in a lot of effort and energy towards, and then for whatever reason it just didn't work out, right? Even relationships over time that when we grow apart, things just don't work out. Something happens, like some type of major event, and it just makes it really, really hard to let that situation leave our life, right? So or like even job opportunities, right, that we go for, and you start questioning yourself and thinking, well, maybe it's something wrong with me, right? Sometimes, and it's okay to, I feel, reflect on where we may have missed a step, or could have done a little bit better, or could have done something differently. Absolutely take the time to reflect. But it's where, when we get stuck, is where we take too much time. We spend too much time ruminating over what happened or what didn't go right. We spend too much time beating ourselves up, and staying with this feeling of this didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? So the analogy that came to me was basically like, so for example, like say you're walking to your house, right, and you have two handfuls of groceries, and you have like maybe a case of water and some like groceries. I've done it, so I know it's possible. So if you're like me, we don't do 2 trips, right? Your girl don't do 2 trips. It's like, I'm gonna carry all that as best I fucking can. If I can, I'm carrying it all at one time, right? And so it's kind of like the same thing, where when you're walking and you're holding these groceries, right, and you're it's like your hands are hurting, you're clenching your fists so tight to hold on to all these groceries, right, to make it to wherever you're going. If you have to go upstairs, whatever it is, and you're like, I don't want to drop them, you probably got some eggs and all kinds of stuff, right? And it's not until you finally reach your destination, right, and you set the groceries down, and that is that moment where you're like, oh, the relief, right? The relief. You look at your hands and you're like, fuck, like all the white lines on them, because you were holding them so tightly, right? And so this same analogy, like I said, kept coming up this week. And so what I wanted to share with you guys is, it's the same sentiment, right? Like, so for example, say you went for a job interview and you didn't get the job, right? And, or, they say, hey, if we like you, we'll call you back. If you don't hear from us, then we chose someone else, right? And they make it simple. So let's say you didn't get that call back, and instead of, you kind of just chucking it up and taking the L and saying it's cool, something better will come. Instead, let's say you decide, I'm upset and I'm going to go out with friends and I'm going to go drinking, right? And say during that time, let's say it was like a Friday, right? Or the time over this weekend, and you're drinking, your sorrows away because you're so distraught about this job you really, really wanted, right? And then let's say an email comes from a different employer that's offering you more pay, better hours, and is closer to your home, where it just totally works out way, way better than the other one would have, right? But because you spent so much time, trying to mask and numb, right, the disappointment of this job that you had an interview for that you didn't get, you totally missed that email where they're telling you, we don't even want to interview. We see what you got to offer and we want you hired like now. You know what I'm saying? And you missed that opportunity. So it's kind of like the same thing that, you know, we realize, you know, when you look at it from that standpoint, I hope that it helps you realize that it's essentially harder. We think it's harder to, you know, let go of things or people or situations that don't work. But in realistically speaking, in hindsight, you know, 2020, when you really look at it and flip your perspective, right? It actually shows you that it's actually harder to hold on, okay? Like them groceries, that when you're holding them, your hands are hurting because you want to let go. Your body wants you to release it. You want to drop every fucking bag because, you know, you get to a point where I just don't care. Like, I just need to let them go, right? It's heavy, it hurts, right? And then it's not to actually let go where you feel the relief, okay? So if you treat your challenges in that same way, you know, where things that don't work out or things that don't go how you wanted it to go, or it doesn't last as long as you wanted it to last, or it doesn't play out how you thought it should, right? Even if it seemed like everything was set up perfectly. This is, I hope that, like I said, I hope this helps you see it differently, okay? That, you know, it's actually easier to let go than it is to hold on. It's the holding on that hurts, okay? It's holding on to the pain, holding on to that person, holding on to that heartbreak, holding on to that job, that circumstance, that house, whatever it is. It's the holding on that hurts, okay? When you allow yourself to let go, that's when you feel the relief. That's when you release the resistance that then allows the universe to bring in something that it was meant to replace it with, okay? Something way better, something way more aligned, or at least, you know, something that's going to take you to the next step. Even if it doesn't feel like that in the moment, that's what it's essentially setting you up for, okay? Something way better. So, I know some of you are probably like, well, you know, how do you let go? How? You know, because I've asked that same question. So I don't, and this is, and I'm not making this video because I have the answer now. No, that's not what this is about, but this is just sharing with you from my perspective, right? What I've learned through my experience. So how do we let go? Jazz, how do we let go, right? Well, you let go by allowing first. That's the first step, allowing. Meaning when you come to that point and you realize that this isn't working, this doesn't feel good, I have to let this go. That is the first step, allow. Meaning allow yourself to feel what you feel in that moment, whether it's hurt, whether it's pain, anger, frustration, you know, sorrow, sympathy, and whatever comes up. Your soul is meant to go through this human experience, okay? So whatever comes up, just know it's serving a purpose. So allow it. It's kind of like when a child, right? For those of you who have kids or have nieces and nephews, or, you know, even friends, or, you know, if you babysat before, right? And the kid hurts themselves, right? Sometimes you realize, like, they're fine. They barely did anything. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes some kids, they just really want you to pay attention. They really want you to see that, hey, I just got hurt right now, you know? And so they're like crying or they're tugging on your shirt and they just want you to look at them. And once you just look at them and you're like, yeah, okay, you got hurt. Okay, you know, and then they're fine. So sometimes it's the same thing, where it's our inner child a lot of times that really just wants to be seen in that moment. It's sometimes our ego, right? That smaller self that lives inside of us that wants to be heard, that wants to be seen, that wants to be acknowledged, that wants to be validated, that wants to be recognized, that wants to be admired and acknowledged and loved, right? It's those smaller parts of ourselves that sometimes just need a little bit of acknowledgement, a little bit of, you know, hey, I see you. I know you're there, okay? And it's okay. You know, you're allowed to feel these things in my body. And when I've learned too, that when you allow yourself to get to that point where you can say, you know what, you're sad right now. You're depressed right now. You feel let down right now. And you're okay to feel that in my body, right? Just by letting that feeling be seen in that way, by honoring it in that way, sometimes it's all it needs. And as many times as that comes up, let it come up and do the same thing. And eventually it dissipates. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes it's a little bit shorter, but eventually by you honoring it and allowing it to be seen whenever it decides to show itself, is the easier it is to just, you know, where that energy just passes, because that's all it is. It's energy, right? And the more that we try to hold on to things, that's what then creates resistance, right? So, and then creates resistance, then creates dis-ease, right? Physical ailments, right? And that's because of this pent-up energy that we keep holding on to, that we continue to, you know, mold, right, into this thing that we don't like, right? It just keeps packing in and packing in and packing on, right? Because we refuse to let it go and dissolve. It then creates something physical, which then turns into tumors, cancer, whatever, right? I'm not putting that on anybody, but I'm saying that's something I've experienced as well, right? Over a lifetime of not expressing myself, being shut down, pushing my emotions down, not speaking up when I needed to, not speaking my truth when I needed to, not telling my parents what happened when something happened because I was scared, you know, whatever, all to do with my throat chakra, right? It ended up essentially, as I became an adult, it ended up essentially creating a 99.9% cancerous tumor on my thyroid, right? And the crazy part about that is I was supposed to have surgery, and it happened to be on a day that ended up being a funeral back here in Cali when I was at the time living in Minnesota, and I was not going to miss that funeral, right? Funerals, I felt like surgeries can be rescheduled. Funerals, it's one and done. Once that funeral is over, that's it, right? I was not going to miss that funeral. So I flew out here to attend that funeral, missed my surgery, and never rescheduled it again. And I'm not mad at myself. Why? Because I decided that happened for a reason. And it was then too that I was researching, you know, how do I fix this, right? And this was before I even consciously started this journey, right? And I decided that I was going to heal myself naturally. Like, I was going to do the work, whatever it took, because I saw that other people, they have done it, right? And even where I'm at now, I'm definitely like, you're not convincing me to get no surgery or getting nothing cut out of my body. I don't need to, because I'm fully capable of healing myself, right? It's just a matter of believing in myself, doing what needs to be done, and trusting the process in doing so, right? So that's it's my personal opinion. I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to tell you what to do or how to live or this isn't, you know, my advice to you, okay? Do what you feel like is necessary, but I'm talking about from my standpoint, given my situation at that time, right? That is what I chose to do. And, you know, here I am thriving. You know, I haven't got it checked to see where the status is at, and I will, but as far as I'm concerned, it's gone, it's dissolved, right? And, you know, I could tell based on certain things that it affects, right, has gotten better, right? And so I just say that to say that that's a perfect example of when we suppress and hide and, you know, hold on to things that we really need to let go of. So for me, holding on to those experiences that I experienced as a child in preschool with my cousins, you know, things that happened, things that were said, you know, all throughout my life, just from being light skinned, okay, just from being yellow, and both of my parents being like 8 shades darker, okay, like for me having the type of hair I have, green eyes, like, you know. And so these are things that I had held on to for a really, really, really long time, because I didn't know about letting go. I didn't know about, you know, forgiveness and how that helps you, and it's not for you, it's not for them, it's for you, and all these things. I had no idea. So now I can say from experience that, you know, the more we hold on to things, that's what hurts, is because it creates things that we don't need. It just makes life harder, okay? It stresses your heart out, stresses your body out, gives you gray hair, fucking wrinkles your skin, fucking creates, you know, all kinds of disease and ailments in your body that you just don't need. It just does way more harm than good at the end of the day. So I just encourage you that anytime you're experiencing, if you watch this video, that anything that you know that you need to release and let go of, be it a thought process, an experience, a paradigm, a you know, a wound, a heartbreak, a heartache, a conversation, like, you know, a disappointment, a mistake you made, whatever it is, think of this analogy with the grocery bags, okay? It hurts to hold them, but it's when you let them go and let them fall on the ground, okay, that's when you release and you feel so much better. So you allow those things to come up. When they need to come up, we allow them to come up, right? And then when you allow them to come up, you sit with that, okay? And tell yourself, it's okay to feel hurt in my body. It's okay to feel dumb in my body if that's how you feel. It's okay to feel stupid in my body, or whatever. You're not calling yourself these things, okay? But if that's how you feel in that moment, honor that. Honor that. Let it be seen. Let it be heard. Let it be acknowledged. And then say, okay. And go about your day, right? And another tip I'll give you is when you do this, okay, when you come into that space of allowing, If you feel like, well, I don't want to manifest more of that by thinking about it, right? Because I've thought that too. Give yourself a timer. Put yourself on a timer. Give yourself 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long you feel like you need. Give yourself that much time to deal with this, to process it, to honor it, whatever you need to feel, whatever you need to cry, yell, scream, shout, stomp, whatever it takes, right? Give yourself that, set that timer and decide that when this timer goes off, I'm done. I'm washing my hands of the situation. I'm going about my day. I'm not going to think about it anymore. If I do think about it and it comes up, say, hey, I see you. Have a good day, and let it bypass, right? And I'm not saying bypass as in like spiritual bypassing where we just act like nothing's wrong. That's not what I'm getting at. That just kind of what came up. But let it pass you, okay? If it comes up again in the future after you do that, let it, come up. Be like, hey, I see you, and let it pass you by, okay? And that is essentially how I feel is the best way to that process of actually letting go, okay? Because I know a lot of people say, well, focus, but we never got taught how to focus. A lot of people say concentrate. We never got taught how to concentrate. So same thing as letting go. We really haven't got taught how to let go. So I made this video in hopes of helping someone who's dealing with this, who's went through these struggles, who have a lot of pent up emotions or experiences or situations that they know they need to let go of, that they know is not benefiting them at all by staying there, okay? This isn't to say to not take the lesson with you, not take what it taught you and how it helped you and how it strengthened you. No, absolutely take those parts. But I'm talking about releasing the pain, okay? Releasing the judgment, releasing the shame, the blame, the resentment, the grudges, all those things, okay? That is what we're releasing here. That is what we're letting go of. You don't have to necessarily let go of the person if you don't want to. If it benefits you to hold on to that, by all means, right? But we're talking about the things in specific that we can let go of the situation that is not helping at all. Let those things go, right? So that is it for today's Moon Day mindset message, okay? I hope it brought you some clarity. I hope it brought you some type of, paradigm shift, okay? Maybe gave you a different alternative perspective to a situation that you could apply this to, okay? Please share this video if you think anybody else could use it, and please give it a thumbs up if you feel like it helped you at all in any kind of way. Sub to the channel if you have not. And yeah, until next time, you guys. Outie.